What if I told you that the most important part of your favorite song isn't the voice, the guitar solo, or even the melody, but something you can't quite name? Something invisible yet powerful enough to give you goosebumps or make your heart race. That's the magic of mixing. On a quiet evening in 1978, deep in the heart of Los Angeles, Bruce Swedian sat alone in Westlake Recording Studios, sipping lukewarm coffee, surrounded by blinking lights and sliding faders. The tape machine hummed softly. What emerged from that session would go on to define a generation of music Michael Jackson's Off the Wall. But what most people don't realize is that the magic of that album was born not in Jackson's voice, but in Swedian's meticulous mixing choices. Mixing music, much like building a great company or solving a crime, is an invisible art. You know a great mix when you hear it, yet the hands and ears that shape it remain behind the curtain. To understand how a mix comes alive is to understand the delicate interplay of sound, emotion, and technology, a mix of science and soul. In the early 1990s, a young engineer named Sylvia Massey spent countless nights sleeping on the couch of Larrabee Studios. She didn't go home, she didn't party. She mixed, EQ'd, and compressed her way into the upper echelons of the music industry, eventually working with legends like Prince and Tool. Half a world away, in Lagos, Nigeria, a young producer named Don Jazzy was doing the same. Hustling in makeshift studios, layering Afrobeat rhythms, and learning how to shape sound with whatever tools he could find. Today, his mixes help define the global sound of Afrobeats, and the lesson is clear. Mastery takes time, and in the world of mixing, those hours aren't just about technical repetition. They're about learning to listen, to hear the way a kick drum breathes or a vocal sits just above the snare, to feel the low end in your chest and know instinctively that it's 2 dB too hot. In 2005, the album How to Dismantle an Atomic Bomb by U2 won 9 Grammys, and yet audiophiles around the world criticized its loudness. The mix, they claimed, was squashed to within an inch of its life. This phenomenon, known as the loudness war, is a perfect illustration of how humans perceive sound not just with their ears, but with their emotions. A great mix, contrary to popular belief, isn't just about sounding loud or big, it's about contrast. A quiet verse makes the chorus explode. Space around a vocal makes the performance intimate. The best mixers know that restraint is as important as excess. In Johannesburg, South Africa, the rise of Amapiano has shown this perfectly. The genre thrives on spacious, atmospheric mixes where every element has room to breathe. The deep log drum, the shimmering pads, and the delicate, syncopated percussion. The loudness war has no place here. The emotional weight is in the air around the notes. The intuition of balance. Chris Lord-Alge, a name synonymous with rock mixes, once said that he knows if a mix is working within the first 20 minutes. This instinct is built on years of subtle cues, the way a snare reverb decays, how a delay tail adds just a hint of melancholy to a vocal line. In mixing, balance isn't just about volume, it's about emotional balance. Does the song make you feel what the artist intended? Does the listener lean in, anticipating the next swell or drop? These questions aren't answered with plugins or gear, they're answered with intuition. The outliers of sound in music mixing often break the mold, pushing boundaries to create something truly unique. They challenge the norms and redefine what's possible, bringing a fresh perspective to the art of mixing. Just as Malcolm Gladwell found that the most successful people often had hidden advantages, the best mixers often have unexpected influences. Brian Eno, for example, credited his approach to mixing to his time in visual art school, where he learned that composition is as much about what you leave out as what you put in. In the same way, the legendary Ghanaian producer Hammer of The Last Two developed his signature sound not from expensive equipment, but from necessity. creating haunting hip-life beats with sparse arrangements, giving every element a commanding and let the music breathe. At some point in every mix, there's a tipping point. The moment when the song either becomes magic or falls apart. This moment is often invisible to the artist or producer, but to a great mix engineer, it's everything. It's the decision to pull back the guitars in the second verse to let the vocals shine, to automate the reverb tail on the last word of the chorus, to push the bass up a hair so that the track feels alive. These micro decisions accumulate, creating a sonic narrative that guides the listener through the emotional landscape of the song. The culture of frequency. To understand mixing is to understand culture. Hip-hop mixes prioritize punch and sub-bass. Country mixes lean on storytelling clarity. Pop thrives on glossy, in-your-face vocal production. Each genre has its own sonic language, and a great mixer is fluent in all of them. In East Africa, the bongo flava sound of Tanzania relies heavily on rhythmic vocal deliveries and melodic bass lines, demanding mixes that are both warm and forward, allowing the emotion of the lyrics to cut through while keeping the groove alive. In the end, mixing isn't about making a song sound good, it's about making it feel good. And as with any great art, that feeling is invisible yet undeniable.